software is eating the world is a term that we hear a lot because it really is. Even your cigarettes, the e-cigarettes have software right now. I mean, the joke is pretty soon your sex is going to be based on software as well. Software makes pretty much anything work more efficiently, more effectively. And there's many aspects that as technology becomes a little bit more easier to implement, there's more things that are going to be software-based. But one of the things most people don't realize is the fact that tech is evolving. So in other words, when you're implementing technology for a particular sector or a company or something, within 18 to 24 months, that piece of technology is already dead. So you have to implement the new version, which is why this circle is never going to end. It just gets bigger and bigger, and it becomes one of those things that goes on into infinity. And that's why this evolving factor of technology is such a big deal, because it makes the market bigger and bigger all the time. So if you think about a few years ago, rather a couple of decades ago, it started with the Yahoos of the world and the Googles, and you started to do search online. You started to kind of read only and do look at websites. And then when we went to Web 2.0, as they called it, you had applications with which you could interact. And there was more, we called it read and write, and it was a little bit more interesting. But now we've gone to Web 3.0, and now we can execute online across different platforms. One of the more interesting aspects of Web 3.0 is metaverse, which we're not going to get into today, but at some point you should really understand what it means. So in the Web 1.0, again, browsers, just essentially, it was mostly reading and picking up stuff. ERP came into play. At the time, we had a company that was one of the largest implementation consulting firms of Oracle and SAP ERP systems. And then 2010, networks became a little bit faster. Vertical software became something. So Oracle moved from just having Oracle databases to the Oracle e-business suite for all the different verticals. Microsoft bought the company and started with Dynamics. Data storage became a lot more efficient. And now that we're in Web 3.0, we're seeing telemedicine, we're seeing logistics, we're seeing things that are affecting things across the world in a way that is not entirely well defined yet. Whoever is not understanding it or implementing it, they're going to be left behind, because it is very, very core. To give you an example, if you are implementing your business in a way that I could do it efficiently, instead of investing in you, I'll hire a bunch of smart kids, invest $2 million and copy you. And then you're out of business. And that's what we look at all the time. Or I'm going to invest in this gentleman here who has a similar company, but is fully technologically advanced and is completely automated. And we're going to use him as a platform, and we're going to buy out all his competitors that are not at pennies on the dollar and integrate their customers into a system. Simple as that. And I've done that personally twice. So to give you an idea, the first one, we bought the company, the platform at 17 million. We bought 4 or 5 competitors at, $2, $3 million each. So the total was about 27 million. We sold it for 101 million in less than 3.5 years. It's fantastic. Tech as obviously percentage of GDP has always been in the 10% range, but tech firms are becoming central to everyday lives, including obviously some of the politics that we're seeing happen in the United States. Digital transformation is not only happening, it's happening fast. It's happening across all sectors. If you look at what's been going on for the past 15 years, everything from agriculture. We just invested in a company that is essentially a full tech platform for farming. So we're seeing the implementation of these across pretty much any sector at a rapid pace. And the areas of growth are going to continue. I think everybody talks about AI. Nobody knows what they're talking about. They're just full of it. But AI essentially means you have algorithms that can predict events that are going to come. And that's going to be a very big part of what's going to happen. Fintech is a huge area. The way payments occur across 2 or 3 or 4 parties need to be automated with low transaction costs. SaaS which is my expertise. By the way, to give you an idea what a weird word it is, I've had people that have raised money for funds that call me and say, hey, Ivan, I saw your name in YPO. We've raised a lot of money and we're looking to invest in some SaaS. They didn't know what it was. Internet of Things is going to become very, very important because the devices that are at home or in front of you, like if you think about Ring doorbell, that's an IoT item. They're becoming more integrated to other things that you do. And obviously everything is on cloud, so that's not a big deal. What you'll see is that the most valuable companies in the world are pretty much all tech. And that's going to be very, very hard to change. I've had several conversations with many of them have consulting firms, and consulting firms traditionally grow with a direct correlation to the number of people that you have. You know, I have 10 people, I'm charging $200 an hour. If I want to get to a bigger number, I need to have more consultants. With software, once the software has been developed, there is virtually no cost for an incremental revenue that I generate. I mean, the AWS cost, which is maybe 2-3%, that's it. The margins are extraordinarily high, and that's why these companies are worth a lot. So if you think about, for example, Apple, back then to now, this is Amazon. So in 1994, when he started, at the time, there were many, many other companies that sold books online. None of them are around anymore. So, they started selling books. How does Amazon make money now? And AWS was something they were doing internally. One of their champions said, look, we have excess capacity. Why don't we sell it to others? And they realized, we can make a lot of money doing it. And now that's a big, big part of the revenues, as well as content. They're one of the biggest sellers of content. The reason growth for tech is fast is because, essentially, number one, everybody needs to do it. Number two, once it's ready, there's very little cost to acquire and implement and onboard new clients. You have the customer acquisition cost now for, but you can grow it very, very fast across sectors. So essentially, we call it the oil for this century. Tech impacts just about everything that we do, which I really believe in, every aspect of our lives, but innovation never stops. And this is the part that you have to really, really understand. Whatever it is that you've implemented, the joke that I have is the same way we do financing every 18 months, if your tech company has not evolved over that same period, you're dead. So as important as it is equally difficult to have that as a tech company. Products go bad very, very quickly. An example. You guys use Google for your search. What was there before Google? Like, use Yahoo as an example. Yahoo had an offer from Microsoft for $45 billion. They refused, declined, because they thought they were going to get, and now they sold for nothing. None of them continued their innovation. They all died. You guys all use networks in your office, computer networks. There was a company called Novell that owned 100% of the networking market. They're not even around anymore. So whoever is not innovating, they're dead. It's one thing to have all the opportunities in front, but it's another to be able to continue to innovate the product. So you're either going to be the disruptor or you die.